Today I've got a guitar in with a few saddle issues, and I've had this question come up in the comments of how low and how high you can get your saddle height to. So I'm going to talk about the proper height that you should set it to, and a few reasons why, and the things that can happen if you don't set it to the proper height. I'm Dave with Stringing Together, and let's dive in. So if you just want the specific height and how to know whether your saddle is too high or too low, basically you want to measure from the bottom of the string, where the top of the saddle is, and where the string meets the bridge. And that distance should be between 1/8 of an inch and 3/16 of an inch. But it's better to understand why it actually matters and how it's going to affect your tone. So first off, there's an obvious issue with this saddle. You can clearly see that it's on the improper angle. It should be perpendicular, and since that's pushing the connection point between the string farther this way towards the headstock, then it's going to throw off the intonation. So there's the E string in tune, there's the E string at the 12th fret, way out of tune because this is pushed too far. The other problem with this saddle is that it's way too loose, and the customer wants a bone saddle, so I'm going to put one in there. The easiest way to measure that height is with a pair of calipers. So I have this set to 3/16 of an inch, which you can sort of get a sense of how high that is, and you check out the base there, it's slightly above the upper range of tolerance. But aside from the actual measurements, it's really helpful to understand why it's important. So if you think of your saddle and how it affects your tone, it's really the most important extra piece of hardware. I would argue more important than, replacing your bridge pins or your nut. The saddle, if you replace the saddle with a bone saddle, or if you get it fitting perfectly in the slot and to the perfect height, it's going to have the most effect on your sound, because that is the connection point of the strings, and that's what drives the vibration, partially, aside from the acoustic vibration. That's what drives a lot of the vibration into your soundboard. So that's the main connection point to your soundboard. It makes a huge difference if you have it set to the wrong height. So if you have it set too high, then you can sort of think about how that might affect the sound. It's a longer distance from your string to the soundboard. Therefore, that vibration is getting eaten up on its way to the soundboard. Now, on the opposite side of that, if it's too low, then that is yes, it will transfer the vibration better, but you're still going to lose sustain, not as a result of the distance to the soundboard, but just as a result of the strings. So you also can think of it as a balancing act between the height of the saddle to the bridge pin, or where the bridge pin connects to the soundboard, more importantly, versus the saddle to the nut, and therefore the vibration of the string. So when it's too low, in my experience, I know that it loses sustain, and my thoughts on that are that yes, you're decreasing the distance between the vibration of the top of the string and the soundboard, but you're also decreasing the tension in this important area here, which is also affecting the vibration of the soundboard. So too low, you're losing sustain. Too high, I find it kind of thins out the sound a little bit, less of a full sound. Whereas too low, you get more of that full, more bass sound coming out of it, but less of the important highs. So the balancing act is, again, between that 1/8 of an inch and 3/16 of an inch to get the ultimate height. And I have another video where, let's say you do have to go a lot lower, you can countersink the pins here, so I'll link to that video. So the other thing you want to keep in mind is once you lower your saddle, you can't go back, because it's not really great practice to put a shim underneath there. It kind of affects the vibration as well. So once you start lowering it, you're going to have to deal with some fret issues that come up. So as soon as you lower the action, that can reveal frets that are popping up, and I have a course that will cover how to manage that in a sort of easy to understand, beginner friendly way if you've never done it before. It's called Foolproof Fretwork. You can go to the description below, download that, put in your email, and it's yours. And let me know in the comments below your experience with this, of raising and lowering saddles, if you've done it or if you've never done it before. And also feel free to leave questions in the comments below. I try to answer every question that comes up, and it also gives me ideas for new videos like this one and the one last week. So leave those questions and comments, and that's all for now. I'll see you next week.